Greetings, fellow mortals. There are many things to love about anime. I have seen many creative ideas come out of the manga/anime medium. Many different stories have left me floored by how beautifully they've been executed. My eyes almost melted at the pure animation candy that I managed to see. Plus, there's a variety of stories that the medium has provided. I can't think of any other form of entertainment that can let me watch a sports series, a high fantasy, and a rom-com without any pause or transfer difficulties in between. It all fits together so perfectly. At the same time, it's hard to recommend many anime to newcomers. If they don't know what to expect going in, the tropes of the medium could easily turn them away. I'm not here to condemn anything or demand that the Japanese media change themselves for me. That's just plain arrogant. But if fans of anime won't admit that some of the tropes, fan service, and concepts in anime can turn new fans away, then they're lying to themselves. That's why there's a common list of introductory anime that fans can use to ease new people into the art form. If you're already a fan of anime, then I'm sure that you've heard of the few introductory series to death at this point. Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, and Death Note come to mind. Plus, there's the more recent Demon Slayer. True story, I had my niece text me the other day to ask if I watch anime. I decided to play it safe and say that my wife and I recently watched the second season of Demon Slayer. Apparently, that's what my niece had been watching too. My answer actually managed to win a bet for my niece with her friend. Of course, I didn't bring up the fact that we also had recently been watching Odd Taxi, because 99.99% of the human race has never even heard of Odd Taxi. It's easy to see the appeal of series like Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, Death Note, and Demon Slayer. They each have an interesting premise, the characters stand out, and a lot of the normal tropes and fan service is left out too. To an extent, there's always something when you're watching anime, but it's not like it's an absurd level, at least with these series. Let me put it this way. I could be on a public plane with people behind me, and I wouldn't be worried about getting called out if I had to download one of these shows and watch it during the flight. It's not like I really care what people think, but who wants to deal with fighting with an angry Karen during a public flight? One show that I think undeservedly gets left off the introduction to anime list is Erased. In fact, I don't think I even heard about the show until I found it while randomly looking through the Hulu anime section one day. It was a show that immediately stood out to me. The poster was simple. Two children were hiding out on what looked like to be a broken down bus. They had the light of a lantern in front of them. While the girl was falling asleep, the boy sat awake on guard duty. Something in me screamed that I had found something special. After reading the description, though, my wife just sighed. She told me that she probably wouldn't be paying attention to the show, but that I could watch it without her. Normally, I try not to force her to watch shows that she's not interested in. This time, though, I made an exception. While she scrolled through her phone, I watched the show. As time went on, she began to look up more and more from her screen. By the time the first episode had ended, her phone was down completely. I was just about to turn the show off for the night too. I like to go one episode per night on my favorite shows. My wife, however, likes to binge things that she loves. And that, fellow mortals, is a story of how we watched the entire show in one night. It's not a long show and compared to other series. That's yet another difficulty in recommending anime. The gigantic walls that are One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, and other large series are hard to push through. With only 12 episodes at only around 20 minutes apiece, a person might be able to get through the whole show in about 4 hours. That's another reason why I think that Erase is a good introductory anime. It's more of a bite-sized experience. In this day and age, it can be shorter than watching 2 full movies back to back. So, what is the story about exactly? Compared to the bombastic ideas of Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, Attack on Titan, and Demon Slayer, Erased is rather tame. The story focuses on Satoru. He has a special power that he calls Revival. When a terrible incident is about to happen around him, his power sends him back in time to right before the accident happens. Satoru uses his powers of deduction to notice what is wrong and fix things so that no one gets hurt or killed, well, besides him, that is. Normally his power only sends him back a few minutes at most. One day, however, Revival sends him back 18 years in order to stop a string of murders that started in his hometown. Now, the power doesn't make Satoru invincible. Besides the ability to go back to a previous version of his own body, he still has the capabilities of a normal human being. Most of the time, he has to use his wits to solve the problem at hand. After all, Revival usually doesn't send him back in time more than once per incident. It's never shown to activate just because his life is in danger either. While not all-powerful, Sotaro proves to be resourceful and understandable. He's a failing manga artist that works another job as a pizza delivery guy. He cares about the people around him, but he's formed a wall around his heart. Sotaro doesn't have grand aspirations to save the entire world, end a demonic threat, or kill crowds of human-eating monsters. Instead, he just wants to save a few children from a terrible murderer. Overall, the story is rather contained. No one knows about Sotaro's powers except for him. Plus, Sotaro understandably struggles to remember the events of 18 years ago. He's not perfect and comes up with the wrong solutions at times. Not to mention that he has to work under the constraints of being an 11-year-old child again. He has limited freedom, time, and physical strength to accomplish anything. The timeline of murders constantly creeps up on him, and he struggles to save the other children not only from the murder, but from the other circumstances in those kids' own lives. Erased has several other characters that stand in their support of Sotaro. KO is one of the victims that Sotaro has to befriend and save. In a lot of ways, she's the heart and the emotional investment in the story. Eri is a young co-worker from Sotaro's adult life that helps in unexpected ways. Sachiko is Sotaro's mother and main supporting force in the show. She immediately notices that something is up with her son and encourages his attempts to help other people. There are other characters, but these are all the major ones. Each of them have memorable personalities and are an integral part of the story. In fact, I don't think Erased has any unnecessary characters. That's part of the reason why I think Erased is so top quality. There aren't any plot beats, characters, interactions, or even seconds that aren't necessary to the story. There isn't any filler. It's something that I think a lot more stories need to be aware of. It doesn't matter how much the writer likes the characters, interactions, or the events. If it doesn't contribute to the story, they either need to rework the story or toss the ideas away completely. What truly holds Erased together is the highest level of writing achievable. Everything and everyone is consistent. The pacing is amazing, the emotional moments hit perfectly. It all comes together at the end and finishes by tying a nice bow on top. I've combed through the anime and couldn't find anything that I could critique when it comes to the story. It had me second guessing myself throughout the entire mystery. I would recommend the show to basically anyone. The reason that I think that Erased doesn't get the same recognition as other introductory anime is that it doesn't have the bombastic battles, the over-the-top drama, the moments of jaw-dropping animation, or even the memeable quotes that other shows have. While I have no complaints about the music or the animation, I wouldn't say that it blows any other anime away. There are scenes that are incredibly beautiful, but the writing is the aspect of the show that stands out the most. Now, this might be where someone would question why this story even needs to be an anime in the first place. With such a concept, it could be possible to make a live adaptation of this story. In fact, it would be easier than most anime. That's why there are 2 live adaptations of Erased, 1 movie and 1 TV show. I feel, however, that the best way to watch this is through the original anime. The original manga is a good way to experience it as well, but I think that the little mystery show that took me by surprise is the best way to go. If there's one thing that I want to accomplish by talking about Erased, it would be to get the story more exposure. Because isn't that what the idea of introductory anime is about? Everyone wants to share their favorite forms of media. We want them to be more popular and to be recognized as art. We want other people to share in our experiences. We want to talk about how great a certain tale is with other people. It's part of the human experience. So if you're an anime fan that wants to spread the love, try recommending Erased. Or if you're a person that finds Japanese cartoons weird, try giving Erased a chance. It won't disappoint. Because, come on, we all have to admit that there are some aspects of anime that are as niche as possible. Like I said, I'm not arrogant enough to demand someone to change their art specifically for me, but there are shows that I dropped just because I couldn't handle some of that cringe. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please remember that I will be self-publishing my novel, A Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.